Major Amin Kalinga, we are good to go, but would like to welcome you to this inquiry of the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, which is investigating the plane crash that took place in Ntungwa on 10th June 2024 and led to the loss of lives of Dr. Saulos Klaus Chirima, who was the Vice President, and 8 others. You know you're in familiar territory. You're not a stranger to this place. You're not a stranger to this committee. But you've been summoned to give us an account of the role that you played. We will require you to take oath before you respond, but just to find out from you, what language are you comfortable to communicate in?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm comfortable to communicate in both English and Chichewa, but for the greater part, I think I'll be using English. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Major Amin Kalinga, you served as Operations and Training Officer at Zomba Air Base at the time of the crash. In that capacity, you were responsible for receiving and implementing mission orders, managing crew assignments, monitoring crew training and duty hour compliance, coordinating aircraft readiness, and acting as the communication link between Air Force headquarters and crew at the base. The committee has called you to testify on the role you played and the role your office played in the planning and preparations of the late Vice President's flight on June 2024, including aircraft selection for the mission, flight planning, crew arrangements, operational readiness, and preparations undertaken prior to departure. You were served with summons that were clearly stated and the testimony you need to give here. Before you respond to the summons, Major Kalinga would like to administer oath on you. Can I request Secretariat?
I, Lieutenant Colonel Amin Kalinga,
do
solemnly swear
by the Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Major Kalinga, you're now free to respond truthfully and fully to the summons that were served to you. You may read your report or talk to your report. We have a copy of that report in front of us. Once you finish your presentation, members will ask you a few questions. But I'm aware we didn't do any formal introductions. Just due to time, on my right-hand side are members of the Ad Hoc Committee. On the left-hand side are the Secretariat. You're very familiar with both of them. So that's why we didn't go through the formalities. And then we have my Vice Chairman here and the representative of Secretariat on my left. And I'm the Chairman, Watanyaminandumand, as you know, the Chairman of the committee. If you may proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and the entire committee. I'm indeed Lieutenant Colonel Amin Kalinga. I'm appearing before you in accordance with the summons to witness which were given to me and were originated on the 15th day of June 2026, whereby I'm to testify on the role played by myself and my office in the planning and preparation for the late Vice President's flight on 10th, including aircraft selection for the mission, flight planning, crew arrangements, operational readiness, and the preparations undertaken prior to departure of the flight. To begin with, Honorable Chair and the committee, The aircraft which was involved in an accident had the following details. The model was Donia 228202K. The registration was Malawi Air Force Tango 03. The call sign was Alpha Foxtrot 88 Mike. The chronology of events. Prior to the air ambulance mission on 9th June 2024, we had received the air transport order from Malawi Air Force. This was air transport order number 30 of 2024, where Zomba Air Base was tasked initially to undertake a flight on 9th June 2024, whereby the purpose of that mission was the air ambulance to ferry the remains of late Mr. Rafael Kasambara, Senior Counsel, from Chileka to Mzuzu. And prior to that mission, after receiving the air transport order, we also originated the operations order number 30 diagonal 2024 to our various departments in our wings, where we have also our own stakeholders who execute the mission. And prior to this first mission, the ambulance mission, the crew was alerted about the flight. That was on the 8th of June 2024, before the flight which was supposed to be undertaken the next day. And the crew did the due diligence in terms of preparation for the flight. They did the flight planning, which I also became part of it, especially on the route Chileka to Mzuzu. And further than that, before the flight, the aircraft was refueled right there at, in Zomba. The crew did their own briefing, the pre-flight briefing, after which they proceeded with the flight, which was scheduled to take off at 1200 local time. Prior to departure of the flight to Chileka, there was the captain had reported to me, that's the pilot in command, late Keno Sambaropa, that there was some bad weather. That was in the morning of 9th June. So they waited until the weather became clear at Chileka. So just to repeat, on the same date, the aircraft had an air ambulance mission ferrying the remains of late Mr. Rafael Kasambara, Senior Counsel from Chileka International Airport, in Blantyre to Mzuzu. The routing was Zomba to Chileka to Mzuzu, the night stop in Mzuzu. The aircraft had 3 hours on takeoff at Zomba Aerodrome. At Chileka, after their arrival, my office had prearranged fuel with Puma Aviation Services Chileka Depot. And upon arrival at Chileka, the aircraft refueled 733 liters, meaning that the aircraft departed Chileka with about 5 hours endurance. The crew who were detailed to carry out the air transport task, but all of them are deceased, were Colonel Owen Lewis Sambaropa, who was the pilot in command, and he had 2,367 flying hours, and he had been issued with license number Malawi Air Force 127. The co-pilot was Major Florence Rex Sedemani, 722 hours, operating under Malawi Air Force license number 130. And the aircraft technician was Major Wells Jordan Aidini, who was the aircraft technician. The air crew was well experienced and both earned DO licenses. These are commercial pilot licenses as well as military pilot licenses. Their competence and compatibility was unparalleled, as it has already been alluded to by other colleagues. Prior to the crash, the pilot's most recent landings at Muzuzu Airport was on 30 April 2024 and on 9 June 2024, which was just a day prior to the air crash. After returning from South Africa, that is in terms of the co-pilot, late Major Sedemani, she was taken through ground school, covering the aircraft systems, emergency and abnormal procedures. And after completion of the ground school, she flew 7 hours training missions and 17 hours of operational missions, making a total of 24 hours and 29 landings. On the same day, on 9 June 2024, from Chileka to Muzuzu, the aircraft carried 9 passengers plus 1 silent soul. The passenger manifest is also with me here, with 9 passengers. Before departure from Muzuzu, the aircraft had a delayed departure with 1 hour, 5 minutes delay. That is for coverage of the remains of late Kasambara. So the aircraft departed from Muzuzu, from Chileka at 16:05 and arrived in Muzuzu at 17:32 hours, which means the aircraft flew for 1 hour, 27 minutes. Upon arrival in Muzuzu, the air crew was briefed about the impending operation. So this brief was given to the pilots at around 1800 hours upon arriving in Muzuzu. So they were told about the impending flight on the 10th of June. And the mission was a VIP mission to fly the then late Vice President, Right Honorable Dr. Saulos Chilima. And the estimated time of departure, that is on the next flight, was 0900 hours local time. The VIP mission. On 10th June 2024, at around 0650 hours, I contacted the co-pilot, late Sedemani, to find out if they were ready for the mission. And the co-pilot reported that they were preparing for departure from Muzuzu to Kamuzu International Airport to pick up the state vice president, who was scheduled to attend the funeral mass ceremony for the late Mr. Rafael Kasambara, senior counsel. So therefore, the new routing was that the flight would fly from Muzuzu, Kamuzu International Airport, back to Muzuzu, then back to Kamuzu International Airport, then back to Muzuzu to pick up the relatives of late Kasambara. And the estimated time of departure for now picking these relatives of late Kasambara was at 15:30 hours local time. On the same date, on 10th June 2024, at Kamuzu International Airport, I contacted the pilot in command, late Colonel Owen Lewis Sambaroba, just to find out if they were ready for the VIP mission, for which he affirmed. At Kamuzu International Airport, the aircraft refueled 483 liters. This, my office also prearranged for the refueling at Kamuzu International Airport, Puma Aviation Services Depot. So they refueled 483 liters, bringing the total endurance in the aircraft to 4 hours, 30 minutes. I will take that again, bringing the total endurance to 4 hours, 20 minutes. The subsequent follow-up with Kamuzu International Airport air traffic controllers indicated that the aircraft departed Kamuzu International Airport at 09:17 hours, and that its estimated time of arrival in Muzuzu was 10:02 hours. This was according to the estimate which was transmitted to the air traffic control tower by the pilots just after departure from Kamuzu International Airport. It was later learned that the aircraft did not land at the expected time, and in the foregoing, further follow-ups were made with the air traffic controllers at Muzuzu, Karonga, and I also contacted the supervisor for Airport Development Limited at Likoma, who also indicated that the aircraft had not landed there. This now culminated into the phases for search and rescue, which are in 3 categories. The first phase being the uncertainty phase, whereby during the follow-ups, it was established that the aircraft's last contact with Muzuzu Control Tower was around 10:10 hours, when the aircraft was allegedly about 20 nautical miles away from Muzuzu Airport. This is 37 kilometers, if we convert. At this uncertainty phase, the aviation authorities at both Malawi Air Force and the Department of Civil Aviation intensified the coordination efforts to establish what had happened to the aircraft. And when it was apparent that the aircraft was missing and the safety of the aircraft and its occupants could not be ascertained, Malawi Air Force and the Department of Civil Aviation activated the Rescue Coordination Center, and henceforth this phase culminated into the alert phase. The alert phase. In this phase, all stakeholders, including military personnel, aviators, police stations and units, and others, were informed to join in the effort of locating the missing aircraft, either in flight or on the ground. In the afternoon of 10th June 2024, the alert phase was upgraded to the last level, called the distress phase. The distress phase. So far, the search and rescue teams from the Malawi Defense Force, the Civil Aviation Authority, had been deployed to the suspected wreckage area in Chikangawa Forest, having received information that the mobile phone tower at Reply picked the signal of the cell phone of one of the occupants of the aircraft. The search continued into the night of 10th June 2024, but no results were yielded. And on 11th June 2024, around 1100 hours, the wreckage was located in Tungwa area within Chikangawa Forest in Mzimba district, and the coordinates are latitude 11 degrees 40 minutes 2 seconds and longitude 33 degrees 47 minutes 4 seconds. And all the souls on board had lost their lives. Then in the evening, the 2 Zambia Air Force helicopters, Augusta Bell 212 and the Enstrom 480, airlifted the dead bodies from Chikangawa to Kamuzu International Airport. Honorable Chair and the committee, this is my account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Major Kalinga. Members may want to ask questions, so we will request you to engage with them directly. Who is ready to start? Mwanza Central.
Thank you very much. Lieutenant Kalinga, good afternoon. I just want to understand, or rather to seek clarification on what caused the delay at the Chileka airport. Was it the weather condition or other factors?
Thank you, Honorable Member. The delay of 1 hour 5 minutes at Chileka was caused by the delay in the administration of the mass ceremony which took place at the CI Catholic Church. So that's what caused the delay. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Chair. I needed that clarification.
Chair Unzonze.
Thank you so much, Chair, for granting us, the people of Ncheudzozimbai constituency, to ask questions to Major Amin Kalinga. I have 3 questions I wish to learn from you, Major Kalinga. The first question is, at what point did you become aware that the aircraft had departed Kia to Mzuzu Airport? The second question is, after the departure, was there any monitoring arrangements that were in place once the flight was airborne? The third question, and the last one, is, once the aircraft departed Kia, what information was your office monitoring? Thank you so much, Chair.
You can respond to that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you for the question from Ncheudzonzi. The question is, at what time did my office become aware of the departure of the aircraft? I believe that's the question. I became aware of the status of the aircraft, that it was missing, after I had been contacted by the then Chief Operations Officer, Malawi Air Force, who is the current Air Force Commander, and also after getting a phone call from Kamuzu International Airport Air Traffic Control Tower. Then the second question, which is almost the same with the third question, the monitoring system which was in place. On this one, I'll respond that whenever an aircraft is taking off, we leave all the duties of monitoring, communications, and everything with the air traffic control tower, because these people were flying in the controlled airspace, that is the Lilongwe terminal area, going towards Mzuzu. When they were getting to Mzuzu, it means now they were getting into the Mzuzu control zone. So these were in the controlled airspace, so the monitoring, the communications, all these are done by our colleagues from the Civil Aviation Authority. Thank you.
Dezamayane.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm not sure if I can be allowed to engage in Chichewa.
If he's comfortable.
Colonel, are you comfortable if I can ask you in Chichewa?
You can go ahead, Honorable Member, but somewhere I may have to mix with English. Thank you.
No problem. Bwana Colonel, imangofuna ndidziwe kuti kodi ntchito imene ya ngati upilot kapena kuzomba kumene ku airbase mwagwira kwa nthawi yayitali bwanji makamaka ku operations. Nangofuna ndidziwe kaye kuti mwakhalako mugwira ntchito imeneyi kwa nthawi yayitali bwanji.
I worked as the operations officer for 3 years, Honorable Member. Thank you.
Okay. Ndikudziwa kuti pali malipoti oti ndege za Donia anzathu achisilikali anazikonda nthawi imeneyo chifukwa choti zimatha kuuluka mabwalo amene nthawi zina ndi ang'onoang'ono komanso nthawi zina osalongosoka kwenikweni. Kodi fundo imeneyi ndiyolondola malingana ndi kafukufuku amene?
Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Member. Kuti ndilongosole bwino apapa ndilongosole mchizungu. The Donia 228 aircraft are versatile aircraft which have got a store capability, which is short takeoff and landing capability. That is why they are able to land even in certain airfields like Salima, and fully prepared airfields. They are able to land at those places. So it's one of the favorite for the military because we sometimes work in those areas which are quite difficult and other aircraft probably may not fly in there. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Ndathokoza kwambiri ngakhale kuti ndizovuta kuti mungazifotokoze mchichewa koma ndakumvani kuti mukunena kuti ndege zimenezi za Donia ndi Chingerezi chakenso nditha kuti za tough kuti zimatha kulowa m'malo amene ndege zina mwina sizingathe kukafikapo chifukwa chake asilikali amazikonda. Neni mati ndidziwe kuti kodi chambireni ntchito imene inuyo ngati wa operations nthawi zambiri ndimamva malipoti kuti ndege yalephera kutera pa Chileka chifukwa cha nyengo, ndege yalephera kutera pa Kiya chifukwa cha nyengo. Madonia amenewa akamauluka mu experience yanu inuyo muoneka kuti munamvapo maulendo angati amene munakhala ndi experience kuti Donia kumene inapitako yabwerera chifukwa cha nyengo kapena zovuta zina kuti mwina sina akachite olo sina akatere kumene inapitako. Nafuna ndidziwe ngati alipo maulendo amene zinachitikapo zoterozo. Zikomo.
Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Member. Ulendo umene ndikukumbukira kwambiri ndi umodzi. Si kale kwenikweni, probably 2 to 3 months ago, there was bad weather at Mzuzu. The Chief of Defense Force was supposed to fly to the northern region. So, because of the bad weather which was encountered there, the pilot in command made a decision to postpone the flight by not landing at Mzuzu. So he had to fly back to Lilongwe Air Base to wait for the weather to clear. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Tathokoza kuti mwandionesa ulendo umodzi koma ndiwapo osachedwa apa miyezi 3 yapitayi imene ndege imeneyi ya mtundu wa Donia inalephera kutera ku Mzuzu chifukwa chakuti nyengo si inali bwino. Koma mu zaka zanu zitatu zonse za mbuyomo si inalephereko kutera pena palipose. Imalimbana nazo ndithu nyengozi ndi kumabwererako bwinobwino. Ndi choncho?
I can't remember during the time when I was the operation officer when a landing or an approach was aborted because of bad weather. Because most of the times what we do before we fly into a particular area, we do a thorough analysis of the weather. We check for the weather with the meteorological department. We also have some digital applications which we also use to establish the weather, especially for the destination. So you wait. There are so many times when the weather was bad, but you wait for a moment when the weather improves. Actually, I can find this opportunity also to explain, like I said earlier on, that even on 9th June, when the aircraft was supposed to fly from Zomba to Chileka, earlier in the day there was bad weather, and the flight was delayed. Instead of taking off at 1200 hours, it was delayed, took off later than that hour. And also, in addition to that, even on the same day, on 9th June, before the aircraft flew to Mzuzu, I had inquired from the flight information officer at Mzuzu, who also indicated that the weather there was bad, but he was expecting that probably it was going to improve around the 1300 hours going 1300, 1400 going upwards. So you wait, you don't commit yourself into that weather if you are able to.
Pali malipoti ena akuonesa kuti mu nthawi imeneyi mu June 2024 ku Mzuzu airport kunali ongodziwa zolemba za nyengo, koma kunalibeko olosera za nyengo. Inu ripoti imeneyi mu nthawi imeneyi ya mu June 2024, ripoti imeneyi mumalidziwapo kuti ku Mzuzu kulibe olosera za nyengo, koma kuli ongoyang'ana za nyengo ndi kupanga ripoti. Zikomo.
Pakamachitika china chake mu aviation industry, kumalembedwa chimene chimachedwa kuti notice to airmen, notam. Ine notam imeneyo sindinayione. Zikomo kwambiri.
Ayi, ndathokoza kwambiri chair. Zikomo.
Zomba.
Zikomo kwambiri chair. Muna ndingofunsa bwinobwino, ndikuona ngati pali mix up ya ujeni ya mfunda wanu. Kodi ndinu Major kapena Lieutenant Colonel?
Zikomo kwambiri, honorable member, ndine Lieutenant Colonel Amin Kalinga. Zikomo kwambiri.
Zikomo kwambiri Lieutenant Colonel. Ndingo yambira pamene alekeza anzanga. Notamu yapa 10 chifukwa mwana yoti notamu yapa 9 simunaione. Kodi notamu yapa 10 yochokerano kulilongwe kupita ku Mzuzu imene munaiona ngati? Ndifunsenso kapena mwandimva?
Funsaniso naonapo.
Mmene mayankha honorable amene angomalizawa akudeza mayani malongosola kuti pali china chake chotchedwa notamu mmene mmakhala nkhani ya weather yapa 9 munanena kuti simunaione, munangati ndinamva bwino. Ndiye ndikufunsa kuti kodi yapa 10 siku la ngozi lija ngati ndinakumvani bwino, tandiyankhani ngati notamu imene munaiona yokhuza ndi flight yochokera ku Lilongwe kupita ku Mzuzu.
Zikomo kwambiri, honorable member. Ndinene kuti notamu, notice to airmen, imakhala ndi information pakakhala kuti pali china chake chimene mwina chasintha pa airport ina yake. For instance, tiyelekeze apanga introduce mwina ma facilities anyuwani atakupanga issue notamu. Tiyelekeze ma services ameti ngati sakupangidwa offer pamenepo ndikuti airport imeneyo itakupanga issue notam kuti timapanga offer zakuti koma panopo zinthu zokulibe kaya pa airport ipo maybe there is a lot of bad migration to that airport. A notam will also be issued to alert the aviators that at that airport the birds have migrated to it. So, but it's not issued on daily basis, and it's not issued for purposes of weather, weather ilimotere, mawa, weather ilimotere, sizimakhala choncho. Koma chimene chimapanga kale information imene yoyo, chimapangidwa issue pa airport is what is called a meteorological report. So at every airport, they issue meteorological reports. They also issue terminal aerodrome forecasts at every airport. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Ndathokoza kuti mwandikonza. Met report yapa 10 imene ndifunanso kuti mutatifotokozera ngati munaiona. Kupitirira mwina ndingofunsa angapo kuti paliso anzanga amene afuna kufunsa mafunso. Limene ndikupeta malilemba. Ndithokoze chair kuti Lieutenant Colonel anayamba ndithu ndikusonyeza ma trainings ama pilots athu akusonyeza kuti anali recently refreshed chifukwa apereka ndithu ma details kumene ma training amene anachitika. Ndathokoza kwambiri. Ndimafunanso ndithokoze chifukwa cha ma details onse amene mwapereka okhuza na even nthawi. Mene timacheza ndi Captain Nthani inu musanalowe anatiuza za procedure ina akuti force land procedure. Force land procedure imeneyi mwina poti nangukambidwa mwansanga imabwera chifukwa timafunsa za landing gear down komanso akuti position 1 ya maflap ndi anatiuza kuti mwina nthawi zine makhala force land procedure. Kuti ndi chani force land procedure imeneyi mutangotifotokozera mwachidule?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Force landing procedure is a procedure which is executed when there is no any other option to continue with the flight to the intended destination or the alternate aerodrome. So you may force land at any place where you deem you are going to land without causing much damage to the aircraft and also to the occupants on board. A very good example could be when you encounter engine fire in flight. You may not wish to continue with the flight to the intended destination or alternate destination. So you can carry out a force landing procedure so that you will save the souls on board as well as the aircraft itself. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Zikoma kwambiri. Ndiye poti ma details ya ngozi imeneyi mukwaziwa ndimene ziyandafotokoza zija kuti zikumasonyeza kwa inu nanunso ngati amene mwakhalisa mu Air Force kuti imene ija ma details amene tinaona ma features aja akugwirizana ndi force land procedure. Chomalizira muna mundiyankhira limodzi kodi force land procedure yopangidwa mwina ndege ikuthamanga 100 knots tatifotokozerani machitidwe ake kuti malizasi ake akhuza kukhala utani. Ndikufunsa izi chifukwa chonena kuti mwatiuza kuti mapilots amene amayendesa ndege imeneyi anali ndithu akaswiri. Captain Nthani anapeka chisazo cha mpira kuti wakha striker umakhaso kuziwa kuti mwawende dolo kwambiri awawa kuti anali madolo. Ndi mafuna nitaziwa kuti madolo amenewa force land procedure imeneyi at 100 knots tiziti nasi anali swali refreshed, recently refreshed, inali procedure yovuta kuti akhuza kuchita execute. Chair submit.
Thank you, the honorable member. It is very difficult for me to say whether the crash which happened was as a result of forced landing or not. The reason being that I was not in the aircraft when this was happening, so I might be speculating, and I may lie because I'm under oath, so I don't want to give a false opinion which I'm not sure of. Thank you, honorable member.
Any questions? Lieutenant Colonel, just a simple question. Fuso lopeka kwambiri koma mwina anthu afuna kuti alidziwe. Pa ulendo umenewo popita ku Mzuzu, kuti pilot anali ndi mpata kapena option otakhoza kubwerera pawoka ni mene nyengo zinali?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The decision to return is solely in the hands of the pilot in command. So, yes, the pilots had the leeway to return if indeed they saw it fit to return. I think earlier on, if you may allow me just to explain a little bit, in the Air Force, we follow a principle of centralized command and decentralized execution. So I'll concentrate on the decentralized execution, where you mix it with what is called mission command, where the commander will just tell you his intent or the mission for you to accomplish. How you are going to do it is solely at your disposal. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Apopo anthu ambiri afotokoza momwe mumene mafotokozeramo. Komano tingoona ulendo kuti ndege inali mumlengalenga. Ndi zinali zotheka kuti pilot apange chisankho chobwerera, zikanatheka kuti abwerere kuti kapena uluke mwamba mwa mitambo ndikubwerera. Zinali zotheka kapena kuti ndimene zinali limo zinali zosatheka mene niyo mukuonera kapena from experience, because iniyo ndino pilot.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Pilot in command anali ndi mwayi ngati anaona kuti ndizoyenerera kuti abwerere, akanatha kubwerera panalibenso chovuta. Actually, when he's airborne, he will not communicate to any other person, nor the commander, nor any superior, so it's solely his discretion. Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, zikoma kwambiri kuti mwandilola kuti ndifunsenso funso lina lowonjezera. Lieutenant Colonel, tinauzidwa kuti pakati pa Lilongwe ndi Mzuzu pali kadera kena kuti mukamauluka kupita ku Mzuzu pali ngati chipululu chakuti captain samatha kulankhulana ndi aku Lilongwe komanso kulankhulana ndi aku Mzuzu. Mwanjira ina mwina tingananena kuti mkadera akadakhala mafoni am'manja tikadanena kuti palibe network. Kodi zimenezi ndizoona malingana ndi experience yanu kuti mukamachoka ku Lilongwe pena mumasiya kulumikizana kenaka mukambanso kulumikizana mukamayandikira ku Mzuzu? Ndifunsa funso limenelo Chair chifukwa choti mwina atakhala kuti anali ndi zoti afunse pakuoneka ngati pali kadera kenaka pali chipululu. Ndifake ndikufunsa funso limenelo ngati captain amene ndi Lieutenant Colonel akulidziwapo. Zikomo.
Zikomo kwambiri, Honorable Member. Between Lilongwe and Mzuzu palibepo chipululu chilichonse, koma kuti nthawi zina pamatha kuchitika ngati munthu akuuluka musi low level pali mapiri. So mapiri aja amapanga interfere ndi VHF communication imene imagwirisidwa ntchito kwambiri mu ndege muja ndi control tower. So VHF communication relies on line of sight. So if the line of sight is blocked, you will not have the communication. But if you fly high, you will not have this kind of chipuru. Zikomo kwambiri.
Ndipitizebe 90 floor. Munafotokoza kuti munali on duty pa tsiku limeneli, ndizoona?
Ndizoona honorable chair.
Komanso ntchito yanu munafotokoza kuti imodzi mwayo ndi route planning, ndizoona?
Ndizoona honorable chair.
So munaperekapo maganizo anu pa route imene inagwiritsidwa ntchito popita ku Mzuzu, podziwa kuti munalandira weather report imene nyengo sinali yabwino?
Honorable chair, ndifunse clarification kuti flight yopita ku Mzuzu yake yochoka ku Chileka kapena yochoka ku Lilongwe. Zikomo kwambiri.
Flight ya Lilongwe Mzuzu.
Ya Lilongwe Mzuzu personally ine sinalandirepo report yoti weather sili bwino. Report yoti weather sili bwino limene ndinalandirapo ine linalira pa 9 Sunday 9 June 2024. And amene anandiuza kuti nyengo sinali bwino anali flight information officer wa ku Mzuzu. That was in the morning hours, and he was expecting that the weather would clear up from 1300 going upwards. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
So nza kuti route plan ya tsiku limeneli ya pa 10 June choka Lilongwe pita ku Mzuzu simunapange nawo?
Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Chair. Route planning imeneyo sindinapange nawo, ine ndinapanga nawo ya pa 9 June. Inayo inali ntchito ya crew to plan their own flight. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Ndemwe namukhoza kutithandizira fuata anthu amene abwera awanena kuti route ikakhala nyengo sili bwino amatenga route ya uluka pamwamba pa Lake Malawi. Koma route ya direct yo uluka pamwamba pa Chikangawa forest. Tangu tifotokozera imene mukuonera route imene anapanga declare ulendo umenewu inali ya direct pamwamba pa Chikangawa. Chinapangisa ndi chani pa tsiku limene lili kuti asankhe route imeneyi kuti apange fly via Chikangawa pamene weather sinali bwino? Chilipo chimene chinachitisa pakuti chikhala kuti zinthu sizinali bwino anthu amathawa amadzera kukauluka pamwamba pa Lake Malawi. Chilipo chimene chinapangisa kuti akauluke atenge njira imeneyi?
Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Chair. Route youluka kudusira ku nyanja ngati munthu akuchoka ku Lilongwe is not a standard recommended practice. It's just practice yoti mapiloti amangopanga. Otherwise the most direct route ndi yomweyo ya Lilongwe NASA. There is a point in NASA along the route which is called Whiskey 601 to Mzuzu. Komano mwina nkhani ya flight level or altitude is now what matters. But otherwise flying on this direct route there is no problem with it. Chofunikira ndichoti ngati mukuuluka mmusi muzitha kumayiona nthaka, muziona mapiri, muziona ma telecommunication mast ndi ma obstacle ena amene ali mu route imeneyo. Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Chair.
Tokoza funso langa lomalizira pali mphekesera zokuti pa ulendo umenewo Major Selemani anali atakhala ku South Africa zaka zitatu akuyang'anira wachibale ndi anachita kubwerera kudzayambanso ntchito koma anakhala zaka zitatu. Ndeti mafuna tidziwe kuti atabwerera kuti azagwire ntchito munapangapo chani choti iwo akhale ready? Of course mafotokoza kuti anauluka mu April komanso pa 9 zimene munapanga pa zinali zokwanira kuti akapange embark pa trip ya VVIP ngati imene iyi kukhala kwawo kuzaka 3 osaulusa ndege ku South Africa sizinapange affect muchina chilichonse?
Zikomo kwambiri a chair. Late Major Selemani atabwera ku South Africa anachita maphunziro apa ground school, anapangidwa expose kukumbusidwa ma systems amundege, kukumbusidwa ma emergency and abnormal procedures as provided for in the Pilot Operating Handbook section number 3. Atapanga zimenezo, then anapanga ma flying trainings. Ma flying trainings amenewa, they amounted to 7 hours. Kenako anapanga 17 hours operational missions prior to VIP. So zimenezi, apart from this now made a total of 24 hours, 29 landings. Meaning kuti muntu yuyu anali capable bwino kuuluka mission ya VIP. And apart from that, Honorable Chair, this person had undergone even a check flight to check kuti zinthu akupanga bwanji. Anapangidwa check ndi chief pilot kapena chief instructor. So anampanga certify anali bwino. Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Chair.
Natokoza, zikomo kwambiri.
Chair, follow up on your question or Lieutenant Keno's response. Lieutenant Keno, manena kuti the direct route which you called the West case, is it West case 601? Is a recommended one. Komano ma pilots ngakale siri standard amakonda kuzera kunyanja ngati weather siri bwino. Munatero?
Ndanena choncho.
Zikomo kwambiri. Ndipo tinanso ndi experienced pilot. Deviation yopita kumanzere, is it also something that pilots amatha kupanga nthawi zina? Ndikuti kumanzere chifukwa ndikuona kunzuzu tili pa Whiskey 601 kumanja ndikumene kuli nyanja. Ndiye ma pilots amatha kupita kumene mukaona kuti Whiskey 601 sili bwino. Ndiye kumanzere ndikumene ndikufunsa kuti zimathaso kuchitika kuti ngati ma pilot matha pothawaso weather mathaso kupita mbali imeneyi kapena most of the times mumapita kunyanjako. Zikomo Chair.
From experience, kumene kumakhala bwino ndi kunyanjako. Ku leftiko ndi kumene kuli ma obstacle ambiri, komanso weather nthawi zambiri simakhala bwino. That's why, though not a standard practice, ma pilot amapita ku right. Zikomo kwambiri.
Pamene ponso mukhoza kuti uza muna poti nanunso ndi experienced pilot. Amene amayendesa ndege iso ndi very experienced pilots. Anzanu anena kuti their competence and experience and paralleled. Mukuganiza kuti ndi chani chingapangise kuti apite kumanzere pomwe nthawi zonse ndi experience yawo pakavuta pakatipo amapita kumanja?
Zikomo kwambiri Honorable Member. Pamenepo ndikunamizani sindikufuna kupereka opinion ya bodza because ine kuna alibeko. Zikomo kwambiri.
Lilongwe Mude and then Mulanje North.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Good evening, Lieutenant Keno Kalinga. I just want to ask one question for clarity. And mafuna ndimvetsetse labwera chifukwa choti munayankha kuti mutafusidwa munayankha kunena kuti akhonza anakatha kubwerera pilot amene amaenda kupita kunzuzu. Then mafuna ndimvetsetse chifukwa musanabwere kunali Captain Nthani amene anatiuza komiti ino kunena kuti iwowo nthawi inakenso anaulukako ndi late Sambalopa. Ndi atafika mudedza anapezeka onena kuti weather yakuchileka anauza kuti sangatere. atapanganso cheki whether yakukiya kunali konena kuti muchizungu chawo ananena kuti no return situation. Nde atapanga encounter choncho anayamba kuuluka musi pa 4,000 feet above the sea level. Koma atanyamula a president. Ndiyeno ndimafuna ndimvetsetse pamene munanena kuti anakatha kubwerera. Situation ya yoti sangabwerere no return situation imachitikadi kapena mwina inali experience chabe ya Captain Ntaniwa. Zikomo kwambiri.
Zikomo kwambiri chair ndi honorable member. Point of no return imene imakhala malo, or it's a point where you will be forced to continue with the flight. There are certain reasons which would contribute to this. One of the reasons could be that you have got less fuel, to the extent that for you to go back maybe to where you are coming from or to any other alternate aerodrome, you may not make it with the fuel that you have. So you are likely to continue with that flight either by flying up or flying low, as long as you avoid adverse weather. The second situation could be the issue of weather, where you encounter cumulonimbus clouds. You encounter a storm, for instance. A storm is behind you. Where you are going, probably there is some fair weather. Where you are going, there is fair weather. However, you'll be required maybe to fly either low or high. Obviously, you will choose to go where you fly very low or high, as long as you ensure that the safety of the aircraft and the occupants is okay. Thank you.
Mwanje North, and then to Kozamari this side. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Chair. I just have two questions. I take it one of your duties or roles at the material time as was it operational? Your operational. You are your post again?
Base Operations and Training Officer.
You were in charge or in custody of the documents, or rather dockets, pertaining to the crew members. Were you in custody of their files?
Thank you, Honorable Member. The custody of crew documents are managed by 76 Flying Wing, while I was on top. Like myself, I was in charge of all operations, not only flight operations, but at the 76 Flying Wing, there is also the operations and the training officer there, who is responsible in keeping all documents for the pilots. However, I'm aware that those documents are there. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Okay. The report that came out, BFU, there was one statement that said both the pilots that were in this flight did not have their current medical certificates updated. I think for Late Colonel, I think it was had expired on 25th February 2021, and there was no current for late Suleimani. I just wanted to get your position, is it in order to let members of crew with no current medical certificate fly a VVIP aircraft? Thank you.
Thank you, the Chair and the Honourable Member. From what I gathered from the 76 Flying Wing Operations and Training Officer is that at the time of the crash, the pilots had been given their folders so that they could update the information in their folders, of which, as also a pilot, I was also subjected to the same exercise also to update my own records. There is what is called the pilot folder. And in addition to that, the pilots, whenever they're flying, they fly with their licenses. And the medical certificate is just a small note where the aviation medical doctor will endorse that you are medically fit. So that one is normally attached in the pilot license. So it is indeed assumed that when the crew was airborne, they went down with those documents, which also includes even the aircraft logbook as well. Thank you, Honourable Member.
Yeah. The question is, did they have current medical certificates at the material time?
Thank you, Honourable Member. I think that question could best be answered by the 76 Flying Wing Department where these records are kept. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The other one, I just wanted to know what are the, when the plane is being refueled, the military plane, what are the protocols or procedures? Do you have your officers from the army involved in the refueling, or you leave it to the civilians in charge of the particular what, I don't know what you call it, is it the station rather, I don't know what you call it for the planes, but where equivalent of a filling station. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The refueling protocol is that at first you requisition for fuel, then the fuel truck comes to an apron where the aircraft is parked, and then it is the aircraft technician who handles the refueling. Is the one who goes on top of the wing where you have the refueling cap. He goes there, he opens it, and is the one who directs the civilian fuel attendant in terms of how to refuel. So the technician, in short, is the one who controls the refueling. He checks on top, and then someone will be in the cockpit trying to confirm the level of fuel. Thank you.
So once the refueling is done, where are the documents kept? The record of that refueling, where are they kept? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The records for refueling are kept at 2 places. The first one is that the Plume Aviation Services will have a copy in their book. Then the crew will also be given a copy, and that copy eventually gets filed at the airbase. So either sides, the issue of refueling can be confirmed either at the Aviation Plume Services or indeed at the airbase. Thank you, Honourable Member.
So regarding this round trip, would we find records of the fueling that took place from Zomba? I think there was Shileka, then there was Lilongwe. I think 9th and 10th. Do we get the documents, or the documents, are they in your custody, that we may verify how the fueling took place. Thank you.
Thank you, the Chair and the Honorable Member. For the flight on the 9th and the 10th, these documents, obviously, they went down with the aircraft. However, you can make verification even about these figures that I've given you. When you go to Puma, you'll be able to find these records there. Thank you.
Wouldn't it have been prudent, after the accident, that your office be interested to have these documents in your custody?
Thank you, Honorable Member. We tried to salvage for the documents at the crash site, but we didn't manage to get them. And the only way that we can get maybe the extra documents would be if we go to Puma Aviation Services to retrieve the copies which they have. Thank you, Honorable Member.
An exit one? A last one? Yeah. Okay.
Just a few questions, Chair. Thank you for giving the people of Zomba Tondwe an opportunity to ask one or two questions. Lieutenant Colonel, good evening. I'm hoping you have seen the BFU report thoroughly. And I wanted you, if you've seen the pictures of the terrain proximity functions, because we had the Colonel Ntani, Captain Ntani, who mentioned of a portable equipment that you are using. And I wanted you, if you've seen the report, if you can confirm that he was referring to this, or this is the one, the integrated one on the stand.
Thank you, Honorable Member from Zomba Tondwe. I would confirm that the terrain warning system, which is talked about on page 51, 3.1.2 of the BFU report, is talking about the terrain warning system, which is in the GPS. In the report there, they have just captured that the navigation facility or navigation system, so there is trying to refer to the portable GPS itself, the Aero 760 Garmin. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you. I think that I just wanted that confirmation. And I also wanted you, Lieutenant Colonel, to confirm the ceiling limit for considering that the 228 Donia was an unpressurized aircraft. What was the flying ceiling?
According to the manufacturer, Honorable Member, the Donia 228 can fly up to a ceiling of 25,000 feet. That is if it is equipped with supplemental oxygen or if it gets pressurized. However, for these normal flights that we do with the unpressurized aircraft, we can go as far as 12,000 feet only. Thank you.
Thank you. And from your experience, I remember one of the commanders, one of the generals mentioned something like normally the clouds are below their experience to Nzuzu, Lilongwe Nzuzu. Would you comment on that in terms of height of the clouds compared to the 12,000 feet ceiling?
Thank you, Honorable Member. The ceiling which I was talking about here is not about the clouds, not the cloud ceiling. I was talking about the ceiling of the aircraft.
I got you. With reference to pressurization, I got your point. But I wanted you to comment on the clouds, just for clarity, height of clouds, with reference to, okay. I hope you get my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Clouds will never be at a single level. Whenever the air traffic controllers or indeed the meteorological department is giving out weather, they will give you weather in terms of octas. That is from 1 up to 8. The way they will provide this weather will not be at a static level, at one level. It will be at different levels because weather, clouds, these are a phenomena, it's an event, it always changes, so there is no way it can only be probably at one level. It changes at 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, going upwards. So it might be few, it might be scattered, it might be broken, it might be overcast, just like that, but at different altitudes.
Thank you so much. So in that case, the weather radar will be able to trace all that and display them in the cockpit.
Affirmative, but the weather radar would depend at which point has been, has the antenna been selected, at which point has it been tilted, either upwards or downwards. So depending on the tilt and depending on the range which has been selected, it will be able to show. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you. I wanted Chair that to be on record. Thank you.
Okay. Titokoza kwambiri Lieutenant Colonel Kalinga tacheza nanu bwino kamaso mwati basama insights ena ndiena magaps amene analipo mwatifotokozera kamaso panali opportunity yoti tikupangeni test your technical acumen ndino bayiro tete ndipo nali zina zimene mafotokoza zikuondesadi kuti obayiro to maudziwa. That's why ndinu bwana. Mwina muli mafunso kapena muli ndi comment inake imene mufuna mupereke msana maliza.
Zikomo kwambiri Chair, ndithokoze kwambiri kuti munandiyitana kuti ndibwere kuzaonekera ku inquiry kuno. As a take home plea, I would like to request for support. Support in terms of maybe finances, resources to the aviation industry, both civilian and military aviation, so that we can improve this particular sector. It's one of the most important sectors of the economy of a country. Thank you, Honorable Member.
No, tatokoza kwambiri. Lieutenant Colonel Mukoza kumapita.